Hello, 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 hello. Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Bah, here it is.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. Hi, Karen.
Hi, David. How are you?
We're good, we're good. I'm so happy to have you here. Well, or I'm having me in your show too, right? You've been incredible, my friend.
Thank you. Who would have known, right?
Who would have known? I know. But it has been incredible. We are really happy to have you here, and it's been such a pleasure. I'm glad that it has been such a successful time for us, and I hope you had a great time too.
Oh, yes. I had so much fun. I get so nervous right before, but then when I get in it, I'm like, we have to stop. It's an hour. So,
Yeah. We're gonna let's we're here it is. Here start. We're starting to get our friends. Everybody, hello. Here's our hey everybody. I see a lot of my friends. Some of the regulars, some new ones. Hello. Well, welcome everybody to Creative Conversations. And I'm David Lomeli. I'm Director of Artistic Administration at the Dallas Opera. And you already know her. She has been with us for the past 3 weeks. Incredible. Kiki, Karen Slack. Hello, Karen.
hello,
Welcome again.
everybody. Hello.
Uh, Karen, we have a to tell everybody the surprise. No, yeah.
Yes.
Should we
I've
still?
kept it hush.
I think we should go right into it.
Let's go.
Well, guys, we have first big news. Everybody that is joining in, we didn't want to like putting a lot online, but it's the finale of Creative Conversations today. Bum bum bum. It's been an incredible ride. It's been amazing to be with you since the beginning of the pandemic. I had an incredible time. But as a lot of you know, we are. I'm going to be the casting director of Barista Soper very soon, and so we're starting to start delegating a lot of things, preparing transition. Congratulations to Annie Penner that got promoted to TDO Network Manager. To all the new members of the team, Alex and Jennifer, congratulations. And I cannot wait to see what they're going to do. So, but that's not actually the biggest piece of news. The biggest piece of news is that Kiki's here at the TDO Network to stay. Yay!
Yay! Woo! Where are
uh,
those hearts at? I need to see more hearts. I need to see more
it's
hearts.
in similar cards, right? I know. Kiki, can you tell us a little bit what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna say?
What are we going to say? We are going to take opera to the next century. We're going to take opera to the people. We're going to take all the leaders and all of the, creators and all of the change makers. We're going to make them change makers. We're going to push them to do the work that they say we're going to do and help them and just take opera to the people and out
Yay!
of the museum, right? We're going to help them.
Yes, Miss Kiki's coming to create her own show. It's gonna debut in 2 weeks, so please check her out. And we're gonna drop all the promotionals and everything very soon. But we're going in, like I think that this incredible partnership with one of the most brave, eloquent, and charming voices today in our industry, and joining forces with the TDO network and all the writing team and all the journalist team that we're gonna create around your show. We're gonna ask the tough questions. We're gonna have the leaders. We're gonna have the people that can tell us what are we gonna do. Like and stop saying like well, let's see what they come from. Let's start really putting ourselves in front of them and collaborate together. We need drastic actions. We need brave leaders. We need loud members of our community. And like, I cannot wait. I'm so thrilled to have Kiki with us at the TDO network. Uh, Kiki, like, if, with the design of the show that we're thinking today, inviting great leaders, of different companies, symphonies, music directors, artistic directors, entrepreneurs, agents, the movers and shakers in front of you. Like, what would be some of the questions that you would ask, that you're dying to ask? Let's have a tiny bit of editorial meeting with together with our friends today.
Well, I mean, for me, I think the one thing that I'm dying to ask is what people feel like they could have done differently before the pandemic,
Yeah.
and what would they and what are things that they are would like to do, maybe afraid to do, maybe afraid to have the conversations, maybe afraid to
Hmm.
speak about the things because they fear the backlash or whatever, fear being seen a certain way. But again, we have to create the safe space for us to have the conversation so we can move past this time.
Oof. We're gonna get in trouble.
I know we're gonna good trouble. John Lewis says good trouble, but again, it's our generation. It's our time. It's our time. It's gonna be our business. It's our business to set the table for people coming behind us, so they don't have to have the conversations that you and I have had, or the things that we've been exposed to,
Yeah.
unnecessarily. You know what I mean?
I I am with you. Like, that's why it was so important for us to pivot, unify, progress, and we're so glad that the next level of conversation, our voice, that now, last week we were around the 14 million people have seen our content since the inception of TDO Network. So now that we have all this family, all these friends around 50 countries, let's make it matter. Let's say we want to belong. We belong. We're one of the greatest art forms in ever. We
Yes.
need to do something about it, and not just keep considering a museum. We need to hear the ones that are in it, and empower our creators as much as we can to preserve the art. So I'm very, very, very excited. I think that, like, would you also ask, or what do you think about, um, what is the business aspect or the financial aspect of our industry? Are we doing it right? Are the structures of agencies, representation, with the way that fees work in media for classical musicians, the transparency of the conversion of student groups into professionals, right? Like, how transparent, how realistic into market are we gonna do? Like, I would find to have those conversations with the leaders of our business, our livelihoods. I would love to understand what is going on.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, I think some companies are doing it right, like the smaller models, because they
Yeah,
have to. It's the bigger
yeah,
guys, and that just don't. I think they don't do because they don't know. They're afraid to make the decisions, afraid to make the choices, to just keep doing the same thing. And interestingly enough, this conversation around is opera elite? Is it an elitist art form? This conversation of opera is not an elite art form. When I walk into a room, I feel like it's an elitist art form. When I'm being, not spoken to a certain way, I feel like, as if I am on the side and not in. It
hmm,
becomes an elitist art form, and I think it shouldn't be, but ideally, it starts at the leadership to change the conversations, to change the tones of the places that we work, to bring other art forms into what we do. Because listen, a lot of people, when I tell a lot of people that my friends in theater and film want to be a part of the opera community, people are shocked. I'm like, yeah, they want to be in the space. They want to direct. They want to be a part,
yeah,
of our industry, but they don't feel welcome. But so that has to change. Of course, we all talk about, I guess singers talk about fees now. Some of us are our closest friends, but to talk about fees and how the business runs, I think it's something that we all should discuss. People should know their industry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I completely agree. And I think also one of the things that I as part of the Tier Network and the management team of Dallas Opera, that I also question, and we get constantly in conflict in how to solve that equation in the content, into how transparent you want to bring in your public to, like how do like there's certain parts of Disney that they are not shown to the general public, right, to keep the illusion of X, Y, and Z. And at the same time, I think that if we are not very transparent, they're going to think that the opera is, as you said, like still elitist, that it's based on like 3 4 mega rich families in every single zip code, and that's how it happens. And at the end of the day, that we, in a minimalistic way, we are an experience that encompass culture, museum, drama, education, entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
and in one night, and we are still competitive that way, but we have to be aware of what are we competing, like I think the conversations with boards and with general directors and even with our own donors and ticket buyers about where are we taking the opera field. We cannot just be doing the same museum aspect of it, like we have to evolve, and I'm all about to preserve always the classics, no, but not only in the way that we program, but in the way that we think our um like our stages, let's say, I
Yes.
believe that moving forward, an opera house has not only the main stage, it has a civic stage, because they are, if they really want to be funded from the company within, they have to be an active tree, an active center, so that you have to think that way in order to create a real change and span of attention from the community at the end of the day
Yes.
too. It's just good business, right? And then
Absolutely.
lastly, as now we're all hooked in, and thank you for all the incredible hundreds of people that are seeing us today, is
Yes.
that that we're communicating and these conversations are happening through the screen. So if we do not design technology like microphones that can capture 360 harmonics, so voices like yours and Christine Gorky can be processed very well in a digital experience, and enhancing technology in 360 real audio so we can have it in good speakers, not as an expensive case. Uh, all these technologies that I think that now an opera house needs a lab, a research and development lab, just as much as they need a young artist program.
Yes,
You know?
exactly. And you know what? Places like IU have been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
Places other in schools that specialize in that. And it's fascinating that you well, that means reallocating funds, and that means going into going into these spaces that are already doing the thing, already doing the scientific work, already do film. I remember I
Yeah.
was in a film and I was on a sound stage and I was like, oh my God, it's like it's built specifically for sound. We need that. We need that in our industry, and not just recording CDs, which is so old school now, right?
Exactly. I yes, Karen. Yeah. I feel that it's um it's a must. I guess I have said in other forums, I have said in some of our chapters of creative conversations. If we don't have an organization, a commissioner that is going to give us those tools of X, Y, and Z, then every single company needs their RD wing, and I feel that we're gonna see more and more, or my counsel, here's like my one secret advice that I would give to any general director in the next year. Are we ready from the Mexican today? Uh, is like cut one production and that budget give it to digital products of content acquisition. I'm
Mm.
leaving this is like I am putting it out there. Whoever is listening, one production, the equivalent of one production should be at least your budget for every single digital thing that you're going to have for your season. If you don't have that amount of cash, you're not going to do the right formula. I've been doing the math. I've been seeing the joystick of the TDO network and the numbers and how it moves. We need that like avalanche of funds in order to be competitive in the media industry. That it's Instagram and Facebook. We're not competing only with now our zip code, the moment that we go digital, we compete with everybody else, you know. So it's
And we
less,
can, and we can,
and we can. I
and
agree.
we can.
I
You
agree.
have, you know.
I
Mm-hmm.
agree. I agree. I agree. It's it's gonna be interesting, you know. I think also that what is your thought about this new initiative that Atlanta Opera did, the company of players, you know. It's a very interesting thing. It has been talked for a while. What would happen to have an ensemble house of in America that is so common in Europe, right? Where but in
Mm-hmm.
America, to have, you know, like a fixed singer group with health insurance, with a relationship with an audience that evolves through the years as they also evolve as artists and human beings, it has to be very organic to see that group for, you know, X amount of years, and the
Yeah.
population that connects on them from kids till, you know, teenagers and above. But what is your take when you saw that? Like how did you see it?
For first, when I first saw it, I was so excited for my friends because many of, I think all of the people who are in the players there are all friends and some very close friends. My second thought, how jealous I was that you get to sleep in your bed every night. You get health insurance, you know,
Right.
and you get the control to be able to sing the roles that you feel and not fitting a season, but actually structure around you. So as an artist, I felt like that, yay, Atlanta, you know, as someone who also is a singer and goes to a lot of shows when I can, I felt how amazing is that a relationship between the artist and the audience gonna be, and how it's gonna develop. Listen, when we're in Europe and you can tell how the house singers, when you're in Germany, you go see a show, when they leave out of the stage and, like,
Yeah.
you know, when they're walking the supermarket and people know who they are, and you know what I mean. It's that relationship. But good for Tomer and good for Atlanta Opera, like building that relationship. And I have to say this, and I always say this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The opera house, the theater should be the people's house. I really do believe that. You know, it should be the cultural, the center of all of the, as well as all the other things going on in the community. You know, the artists, you know, should be within the community. We are of the community, and I love what they're doing. That's tremendous. I mean, I look forward to seeing in 4 seasons how that you know plays out, and I think more companies should do that, because you know. And then there's this conversation of like how local talent is treated, like as if because you happen to live in a place where there's an opera house, suddenly, oh, that local talent is not good. Where Atlanta said we have all these fabulous artists and we're going to put them on the stage.
I love it. I think that makes so many good cases in so many good directions, you know. Like I think that it's a very I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be observed very closely by the industry. I recommend another one, like a jump, you know, another of my investment tips of the day. It's going to be jump on that a little bit. I think that it's a very good model, and also is going to nurture your artists in another level. Like when they
Yes.
have that freedom of the warm bed and the warm milk guaranteed. I think that when you put that stress of where are you going to get fed, you definitely create a little bit better, you know, that
Yes.
and better art is better connection with your audience and so on. So I think
Community,
it's an important
community,
thing.
community, community, community.
Yeah, but what do we say to, you know, like you and I, when we sing, like we have guests a lot. We have benefited also from the star guest model, let's say, you know, the X amount per night, and checking your miles in Lufthansa, you know, to see if you qualify for the next tier of perks. But what do we say to them? Like, is the star system affecting the business, or is it helping it? Like, is it? Do we need to actually bring a more European model to the United States, where you have a big base of ensemble and then the superstars are the least? What is your thought on that?
Hmm. Well, there is that thing of the argument of if you put a superstar in a city that doesn't care about superstars. They just want the singers that they know they love great singing. Then you've wasted your money, right? As a as a business model. And I am of the thinking, having gone to a big conservatory, Curtis Institute of Music, having gone to a major young artist program,
Yeah.
having gone out and started at that level, that's I don't believe in that system about 100%. I
Yeah.
think that every artist has to do what is best for them. And this whole, oh, you win big competition, you go to the big young artist program. I think we have droughted the system of great creativity and left so many people out, and have depleted so many audiences of the opportunity to get the full spectrum of art. And I think that that's where Europe beats us. The
I
time frame that you have to train a singer is of the detriment of the art form. In America, it's different over there. So having gone through the system, having benefited from the system, I don't think that it's the way to go. I think we need to change the model.
I am with you. I think, I deepening my toes in these thoughts of diversity and diversity structures, diversity informations. I think that also we need to start thinking, as you kind of painted a little bit about your friends in theater and film, is diversity on thought. Like, I think that we need to start listening to uh, a different generation, and sometimes, and it doesn't need to be generation like age, but in thinking, in critical thinking, in structural thinking, and we need a mentality that now we have to. If we were not there, that for me we were there for quite a bit, but at least
Mm-hmm.
in the 15 years of my career of singing and administration, I have been in this momentum of declinations of budgets and funds, steady every year. So I have never seen a fat cow's moment spike
Right.
in my 15 years here, and so because we are there, if we were not in a survival mode or like save us God mode, now we have to be in the new leaders. They cannot even be. I don't know if they can be always being from the traditional pool of leadership that we always do,
Yeah.
because now we have to bring somebody that really, really does this, because we need to look into digital revenue sources and how to we fundraise interactively from Zoom. All these different things that we're trying to do. It's
Yeah.
it's so strange. So I think that everybody, and so that I feel that is gonna create a beautiful thing in our industry,
Yes.
from me. But I think that we have to spread the word. So I'm excited that the show that you and I are cooking with the TDO Network team is gonna put these things in the front. Like,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
Karen,
I
I'm
think
gonna I'm gonna put them a little bit on the spot, since now I'm gonna step back into the producer seat.
okay.
But
Okay.
who is who would be somebody that you would like to talk, like, who, what is something that you would like to ask, so we can put it out there in the blogs here, and then of course we're gonna send him an email or her an email. you know
Oh my
uh,
gosh. You know what? I would love to sit down with Peter Gill.
woohoo.
I'm just gonna go for it.
Yes.
I worked in his company last year, so why not? I mean, Peter and Christina Sheppelman, of course, as a woman in the industry, Alexander Neef, someone who runs two companies, right?
Yeah.
You know, uh, Peter Sellers
Wow.
as a creator. I'm just gonna go for the top dogs in a way.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to your boss.
I think that I think you can talk to Ian. You can talk to anybody that you want to talk. That is my boss. I have two right now, like, tuning in. So hello,
You do.
Emmanuel and Lisa are
Hi,
there.
hi, Maestro. How are you? Maestro, I have to say, I apologize. Last week, I so wanted to have like a debrief with you after our talk, but I ended the Zoom, and I didn't have your information. I didn't know how to talk to you, but I would love to talk to you again anytime off of camera. So
No, hola, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, I again, it's gonna sound like I'm gonna throw flowers to my bosses, but the diversity in thinking, I think that this example of these two, like, they are very inclusive. they are incredibly open to TDO network and the new market and those type of thinking. I think that is the type of leadership, I think that is where we need to share
Yeah.
our our expectations. So I'm excited that you're gonna have conversations with everybody. Like, we're gonna ask, we're gonna help. If you are tuning in, like, we please send us an email, or we will send you already. I mean,
Yes.
we have the
It's
team
so
making
funny.
the
Like
list,
who?
making the list.
Yes. But you know what, David? I just want to say this. Like, we are in an interesting generation where we're like right at the cusp in the middle of like the older guard, the way that things always went, and the direction of where things are going. So many of us are trained the old-fashioned way, that by the great artists and the great conductors that had, and and the agents and all these things. And so we are, I always feel like we're like straddling between two generations in a way, and sometimes we have to push ourselves to change our thinking, even from how we were trained,
Oh yeah.
versus in the direction that we're going. So I think it's amazing. I think it's incredible that we're in these situations, and we're in these spaces at this time to help the art form that we've given our lives to, that we love so much, to see it,
I
elevate itself,
I agree. I would love, to for you also to see, to for with somebody has a subscription, somebody that makes a space in their year to have a relationship with an opera company. What is do they get, like, and have it on tape. I think that we go from so many reasons, and we don't we talk about the stories about, going with your grandmother or your friend, or it was a date, but I don't think that we put actually that experience at the forefront of everybody. Like, what would you talk a little bit with a donor, with a subscriber? What would you ask? Like, we have a lot of relationships with them as singers, right? But if we were like amplifying their voice when they are having a conversation with you, what would you want them to share with your audience?
Well, I would want to know why you donate. Outside of, okay, maybe the tax write off, or maybe like, oh, you want to have, I'm on the board, or I donate to the opera, which is
Yeah.
fancy, which is fabulous. When you tell people, it's
And
like
thank
saying
you
you're an
very,
opera.
yes, and thank you. Don't stop. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
don't stop. But again, like, why? What are you getting for your investment? Are you asking for the right things? Are you seeing what you want to see? Do you have the connection to the
Yeah.
investment in a way? Not just demanding, I want this singer, I want that production, and but really the community. I go back to the community. I go back to the theater and the company feeling like that all the way through. Um, that's what I would want to know, why. And if you aren't getting the things that not just I guess the top layer of the latte, but the real the real coffee down there, if you're not getting the thing, and how we can do that, and how they see the future for the art form, how to bring people onto the board, bring more people into the theater, how the board is also should be a part of that as well. Getting filtering out how amazing this thing that you've given your money to is, in a way. So
I agree. I agree. I I I like it. I think that we have, to have these conversations really close and really in the open, and on the same vein, like, I think that we have to have the conversations with our audience about where do we go, like, we television is not done the same way, not even like 10 years ago, like, if we see reruns of the Jersey Shore, they look really old, right?
right.
And so why do we expect, to have that kind of expectation from the ticket buyer to keep buying the same, and how we haven't made the pitch correctly, because we want them to buy, like, actually the journey with us, and to take them into a new dimension of experience, music and culture, the way that we have done it for 400 years,
Yes. To
uh,
have to convince people that the, it's fine to have it the way you had it, but if you have it a different way, it's just as good, if not better. You know.
I I agree. I think that we have to have these type of conversations. I wanted to ask you one thing that I always wanted to ask somebody of an African American singer that I work with or that I respect so much. We have sang together,
Yes.
and
Not enough. Not enough, though.
not enough. Um Now that the not the mask or the veil or I think that there's a little more genuine interest to make a change sooner. At least that's the temperature that I feel, right?
Hmm.
Um, do you feel that the field is ready for a general director of diverse or artistic director or a casting director? How do you feel in the industry as a singer? Where did you move when you were in those situations? That was like the decision is not good, and how do we get that fixed from your point of view? I see it from my management side, but from the singers, what is the temperature side there?
Um, I think if companies are not ready, they better get ready. Um, because this generation is not having it. They're not having business as usual. Audiences are not having business as usual. The world is changing. So if you don't change, it'll be a big red flash light right on your company. So if you have to go in and cut out the ones that are not going where the company and the art firm need to go, then you have to do the work. I really believe that artists are, some of us are overwhelmed by the change. Don't Some people don't really believe that companies are going to do the things that they say they're going to do, um, or that they're just going to hire the same 5 or 6 singers of color they always do and just give them more, which is also not the it's not the actual, you know, that doesn't heal the problem in a way. But again, I always feel like opera, classical music is one of the greatest art forms. So we need to be leaders. We need to see ourselves as leaders and change. You know, do the work, as people say. Don't add, do the work. Do the work. Do the thing that you say you want to do because it's the right thing to do, or you won't survive, or the companies just won't survive, or you'll be left behind.
Just
I
left
mean, the
behind.
conversations that Black singers have, I always feel like we're having these conversations now that we've always had in private, in public, but some companies I just feel like are not going to want to do the thing. And it's unfortunate because they are the ones that everybody's looking for to be the leader,
I know.
you know.
I'm interested in always when I go into artistic discussions, what I really like to do, not only about creating a new idea or a new project, I sometimes when somebody else has an idea, I love to develop into a project. And I
Mm-hmm.
always when I come into this question, right, of how do we do this, it's very hard because with the budget and money structures that we have, they're so tight on revenue that then the only solution is to solve one by for one, right? Like there's some sort of displacement, and it's
Mm-hmm.
and it's tough, So the and I don't even want to call about transition or substitution or anything, but it's very long. Every change matters, but it's very gradual and slow and blah blah. And then of course there's the notion of well, but how do you develop experience and pipeline, right?
Mm.
Without affecting again the displacement aspect. If you have capital enough to keep developing your own talent for the administration side, for the decision making side, for the revenue side, uh, you have to have a better pot, to have everybody employed and develop them correctly. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why when I come back again with we have to ask conversations about the business model, the way we do everything.
Mm-hmm.
The big foundations that a lot of us would depend in are changing their matters into social justice a lot. So, are we just gonna now like create projects for that? So we like the administrators and the creators still have some sort of a job. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the way, like we cannot be contained always depending on what it is. We still have to have some sort of creative independency, right? So we
Right.
have to be better and open to better ways of marketing, to digital help, to creative people in house that message our things differently. And I think that those some of the conversations that we should have with the show, keeping the editorial spirit of our conversation. I think we need to know, like, where is the money? Like, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna become relevant? How are we gonna keep paying our bills?
Right.
For everybody, like our donors are incredibly, and we love them. And please help us every way that you can. But I also believe that we have to learn ourselves to help us, too,
As
from
as
everybody.
a leader, David, can I ask you, as a leader, as someone who is one of the few leaders of color in our industry, internationally, I always how do we diversify that level? Because again, with diversity in leadership becomes diversity of money, diversity of access. So people don't understand that. They just think, oh, all of a sudden that seat is gone and those options are gone. But I don't believe that that's the case. So what do you think? Like, how would you help companies make better choices when it comes to leadership, diversity within leadership?
I think that everything has to be accompanied by you know I think that it's going to be a gradual, if I say very very slow penetration from stage till the office. The more diverse we are on the stage, the more diverse we're going to be in our audience. If our audience connects a little bit better with that, those fans evolve into supporters of the company, independent of the color of their wallet and in the color of their skin, and you progress with diversity plans of your audience and your main stage. It also is going to hit your board eventually. The
Mm-hmm.
gatekeepers at the board and the gatekeepers at the development and the developing audience members, like there are several names: revenue, advancement, whatever you call them. The ones that are interacting with certain level of gifts and above, they also are going to have to be diverse in order to connect with a diverse audience. You can, like it is that, especially in those gives, like I don't see the traditional giving experience of the American way that I have seen so far work if we were an international fundraising company and we will fundraise the same way that I see it in Mexico.
Yes.
No, no funciona. Like we're in a different, the Mexican connects in a different way with the gifting experience. So
Uh-huh.
it has to be somebody there that manages that and it's aware at least of all these things. Like the
Yes.
multicultural. That it's aware that for somebody a hot tea is a great thing, and for somebody that hot tea is gonna be offensive, and type of those things. And that's how we can evolve. I think that it's very slow, but because also unfortunately the taste making, and that's why we have to rethink the industry in a 360 way. The Where we create taste or attachment to this art form, normally it's at a young age, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult to put our content in front of those people because there's so
Yeah.
many gatekeepers that have made this art form very expensive too.
Yes. Yes.
So it is difficult. I think again, we have to diversify the stage. We have to diversify the board. I think boards have to be brave enough. Like I have personal experiences where I made, like, maybe at some point a final in an interview process. And definitely I felt like the diversity candidate, a little talking nice here and there, and I presented very 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 good plans, like that I had in my mind, like investment of digital technologies, diversity on the podium, diversity on the stage,
Mm-hmm.
a different ways of revenue making, and the constant thing that I found when I was bouncing my ideas with headhunters, with everybody, except I must say that the team at TDO, where I was already, everybody else was like, "You're too fast. You're too like this is not gonna happen in your time or blah blah." and now with the pandemic, it's like now right here. You know, if you don't move, you have to do something, right?
You got to do it,
So
baby. You got to do it.
I have hope. I'm sad that this kind of change of gears is gonna bleed a lot of great people out. You
Mm,
know, and the ones remaining in the industry are gonna be very, very, very strong because are the ones that are gonna help us go back and expand again. You know, but this pandemic, as in every single part of entertainment, is making a very big a very big devastation. You know,
yes.
so I think that this is gonna be a very, very, very exciting project. You know, I'm very excited to have a serious journalistic coming from I attempt coming from people that like you and me and the team at TDO, but that have walked the walk. And we have walked the walk from different parts of the street. You know, we come from different corners. We're meeting at a halfway, but at a cross point, but we all come from different parts, and definitely what I know about opera and what you all go opera in your part of town and your part of the world is very different. But we meet here at the pros, right, at
Hmm.
the Orlando bubble.
Yes.
This is where it matters. This is where we have to agree on the rules of the bubble and
Yeah.
how we're gonna play and how we're gonna stand for. You know, one of the things that I was very, very concerned is when the George Floyd episode happened, everybody went in. And now that it happened again in Kenosha, no anybody's saying in because everybody's like, I already said it once,
Hmm.
right? We
Hmm.
cannot stop the foot in the clutch. We
Yeah.
cannot just pretend that like just because you did it once, you just get the like blue star in Instagram, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's where I hope that the brains and the spirits behind the institutions today realize that just like the NBA did, like they have to constantly remind them that like we do this and you pay attention and it has to be like that. You
Yes.
know, like the an opera, like, you know, we were given the loudest voices in the planet, you know, so we have to also voice out.
Use that,
um
and not be penalized for it, but to be celebrated and lifted up. That
exactly.
was the reason why people were so, or that critiqued the opera companies who blacked out so much. They critique them because they're like, you don't mean it. You've never meant it before. You don't mean it. And so now is a moment to do the thing, to support the artists, to support all of us who are wanting to affect change in the best way, to prove that we, like I said, be in the front of it,
Yeah.
leading it, or at least those who are in the front, pushing them along in a
Yeah.
positive way, doing the thing.
and
That's what I'm going to be looking for. That's going to be my expectation.
and you know and also the fact that we have when you were mentioning this thing that you just said like hit me in a very particular part of my critical thinking of the industry that I am on that rabbit hole is that I I feel that something that is very successful with the TO network is that we became a person, we became a human being, organic, that we had, you know, we are it's conformed of a lot of ideas, bodies, and incredible people, but we became an institution that suddenly was beating, was thinking, was speaking loud, and was confronting their fears and their own conflicts, you know, and questioning their own things. I remember actually in our company the intense conversations that we had at every level in the company between the leadership, a mid-level, big level, when we wanted to make a statement and we were like a little days behind of what everybody was watching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because we wanted to say something and we were comfortable to follow through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're
Yep.
seeing it in like the people that we're bringing to the TD network, the people that we are, how we're diversifying, how we're doing partnerships, what is our future strategy of content acquisition, all these things that we're doing, like it's changing and it's affected by that statement that we did, and we took our time to respond, not just to be for show, right? So the thing that I find here is that the companies, again, I was always, since I said that it was three, but this is my third investment pearl, in before I leave a creative conversation. Things that I
You
learned since March, right?
be five by the end, so you got to come up with two
Okay,
more.
come on. The third one is the more relatable that you become as institution, the more chances of connecting with human beings you have. We cannot be vanilla nice anymore in any way, like the way you grab it, if it's villain or if it's vanilla, both of times you cannot both be the ways. We cannot be elitist just because we don't try to ruffle feathers with anybody. We cannot be standby people because we are accomplices of the silent if we don't act as artists. Our artists have always been at the spear point of every like generational psychological and ideological revolution, right? So, but when we connect this way and also we take of our own, we forget that at the end of the day, some of the best audience that you have is of all the people that want to do what you produce. Some of those are the biggest fans that you have. You cannot always be watching the audience that consumes because they can become prospects. You can also cater a tiny bit to the nerds and allow them to be fans and allow them to have heart and anger and like all the emotions that you have when you are become a fan for somebody.
Yes.
And we don't talk about the fan experience. We always talk about the Patreon experience. We talk
Mm-hmm.
about the donor experience. But what about the fans that have made this art form? When they fall in love, they spend their lives chasing it. Like it's
Yes.
so it takes a fan. It takes somebody to walk the walk, and that's one of the things that I learned here during creative conversations that I have had in my mind or I have observed here and there, but doing this kind of like meditation focus hours in front of everybody with great friends for an hour in the past 4 or 5 months on Saturdays allows you, to discover, to shamanize this type of like thoughts. But it's really, really real. The days that we created, we had a very successful multi-series of podcasts with Michael Mays
Mm-hmm.
right after the again, the unfortunate situation with George
Yes.
Floyd, and he basically gave them the mic, to a community of artists that they were talking about their grief process at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 4 hours. They filmed for 4 hours. We did it on a mini series, and our engagement numbers were through the roof. And who would
Yes.
think that an opera house was connecting with patrons, donors, or fans, whatever you want to call it, when an artist was telling them how they felt today, and that was an incredible magic moment for me to realize that opera has the power of so many things, like
Yes.
so I think that's I'm excited to put a little bit those questions and maybe point ice with a little bit of our lessons in creative conversations with our guests, with you leading them a little bit to the right side of the force.
Put a little Kiki magic on it. They call it the sprinkle a little dust on it. But yeah, I mean, I love this art form. I've given my life to this art form, it's changed my life. Why would I want to be a part of that. I want to see it through. You know what I mean? I want to see it be as great as we all know it is and let the world see it.
Yeah.
And having these conversations will facilitate that, because it has to happen from the top. It
Oh,
has to we have to affect the top. But I remember that conversation. So many of my people that I know were in that conversation, and it was really wonderful that, again, having the conversations that we have together in private out,
I agree.
in public for people to understand,
I
you know.
I agree. And Kiki, let's play a little bit fantasy casting, as I say. Um,
Oh,
I I think you're an incredible leader. I was a very big fan, or I'm still a fan of your Kiki conversations. I don't remember that we did a competition together a zillion years ago in LA. The
yes,
Iturbe competition.
yes.
Kiki won first, I won second. So
Oh,
that was the 1-2 that year.
There was a 1-2 that year.
and
Oh my God.
and you know, I think that I don't know. Hopefully, my wishes, my dreams come true. I think that you're gonna be an incredible general director one day, you know, or artistic director one day. And based on that, what would be your ideal opera house? How does it look? What is the program? You know, what are your works in the and what you're cooking? How does what your audience looks? What is your marketing plans? How would you do a little bit an opera house, Kiki style?
Well, it's interesting that you related sports to opera.
I love sports. I really do.
I know,
Yeah.
but my company would look like a stadium. Very enthusiastic, very diverse, very passionate. Come as you are. If you want to rock heels and a fur coat, or like jeans and sneakers, and like that would be my ideal company. Is like church. Come as you are, and enthusiastic and so between church and the stadium, like the black church and the stadium, not in a stadium. But for me, I think that for American composers, a celebration of American composers, a celebration of diversity on the podium. I'm very passionate about new works, of course, as many people know, um, and relevant stories that are relevant to the cities, the history of the cities a city that I would be the leader in. I would have to have my traditional opera would be something like Un ballo e maschera, of course, done contemporary.
You missed
Definitely,
the part with yours truly.
of course, with David Lomeli, as my lover, of course, but also introducing audiences to some of the traditional beautiful repertoire, updated and contemporary in a very beautiful way.
Yeah.
Hiring lots of local talent, presenting singers that have been overlooked is something that middle class of artists that I always say that I would love. People that should have been in the top 10 but weren't. In that way. But
Right?
just a place. I'm very dedicated and committed to this people's house model.
Yeah.
Very committed to inclusivity, and people feeling like when you can walk into the foyer of a place and feel like you are a part of the fabric of the institution. To me,
Yeah.
it's very.
I agree. I agree. I like it. I like it. I hope that some of our audience like heard you and you just did a good interview and a good pitch, you know. So
Yeah, Umbalo and Mascara, and then something like X in the same season. How about that? Something a little bit or fire shut up in my bones, and Florencia, and then like some Kamala taking up serpents, and then ending with Falstaff. I don't know, child. Something like comedies. I don't know. I'm
I
so
like
into this.
it. I like it. I like it. I like it. I really hope that we see a company like that. You know, I really do. I think that you have incredible ideas. I'm very excited to work in the next few weeks producing with you this new show. I'm very excited. I really do.
I'm excited. I'm
Um,
excited. Thank you for passing the mic to me. You
yeah.
didn't drop the mic. You just passed it to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it has been an incredible experience. You know, like I had a ride. I felt as close to an audience as I used to when I was singing.
Mhm.
I receive an incredible amount of direct messages and singers and entrepreneurs and administrators of so many parts of the world are joining the conversation, are asking questions, are forming alliances.
Yes.
But most importantly, I am happy that we are searching. Like somebody like asked me a few days ago, is like, oh, did you see such and so? They're trying to copy a few things of the TDO network, and I say like, that in a way that's way like I didn't expect that. Even Netflix had Hulu, Disney Plus, and everything. I'm not saying that we're Netflix at all. Like, so people do
Yeah.
not do memes on me. Like, I'm just saying that at the end of the day, a great idea like can morph in something else, and everybody has to go for their own. Like, we're artists, we want to put our art there, and we're going to try it with all our training, all our heart, all our, like, strategy of content that we want to do to give the best experience to everybody else. And that means advancing every day, but good for everybody that is trying, and it's trying to adapt to the times, so I don't really mind. I wanna also, I know that we have like a few minutes left, but I wanna thank a lot all my bosses at Dallas Opera for giving us the chance to produce creative conversations, to still keep believing on the TDO network, and really opening up to ideas of so many people to forward the presence of the Dallas Opera, and also the message of our own music around the world. To the people in Latin America that have been sending a lot of things, I muchísimas gracias. Estoy muy muy conmovido por tanto cariño en estos sábados. Muchas gracias. For everybody else, I am very excited for you to keep tuning the content of Dallas Opera. You're in great hands with Kiki. Like, I can't wait to see where she takes us in the next steps. And Kiki, like, the floor is yours. It's been a real pleasure to be with you this past 4 months on Saturday. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I just hope everyone stays around, stay
Yeah.
tuned, and know that this is a reciprocal thing. It's not just me doing the thing, it's us, it's our thing. And our guests come on, and we are a community on my show. And we are, we put the people on the spot, we do the thing.
I know. I know. Well, Kiki, thank you for joining me here for this incredible day of awareness of new cycles, of new beginnings, of transformations. I again, we talked this week, you and me, but thank you for everybody who has been tuning to Creative Conversations the past few months. I am David Lomeli for the TDO Network. Kiki's Slack was with us. Thank you for all your support. If you can donate to the Dallas Opera, we always appreciate the help, and it's been my honor. Thank you very much, and see you very soon. Thank you,
See you on the
Kiki.
other side. You're
Okay.
welcome. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye. Bye.